Well, hello, 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 and welcome to the Lockhart Perspective. Saturday night is live. Oh my goodness. I have, of course, none other than Black Spring with Autumn here. And tonight we have a very special guest. It's Mr. Ron Vroman, and he is going to share with us a lot of good things tonight as it relates to getting back to the basics, I like to say. That's what I'd like to consider it. Just getting back to the basics, getting back to what we originally started with here in this country as well. Is going to clear up a lot of things that we thought we knew about our country, a lot of things that we thought we knew about our lawful existence. And I'm trying to parse my words, ladies and gentlemen, because I have been watching some of his programming over the past couple of days, and I want to tell you, wow, really good stuff. Hello, sir, and welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello. I declined the sir, though.
You know what? I knew better because you said that basically you were in the military and you were a real man who did your thing. You weren't you. So I walked into that one. I really did. I walked into that one, and for that I apologize. But what I do want to say is I want to welcome you to our channel this evening. I'm so glad that you are here. There are a lot of people out there that have heard from time to time about being a sovereign citizen. There are people who are now talking about creating assemblies within their own community or within their own state. A lot of people don't like big government. They want to understand what are their lawful alternatives. And that's why we have you here this evening. I want you to tell us a little bit about you. Tell us where you began, tell us who you are, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's topic. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to our show, Mr. Ron Vroman. And Black Spring and I will sort of stick over here in the background for a second while you introduce everyone to you. I think that's how we want to say it, right? We want to introduce you to you. Oh, you guys like that? I'm playing with these things. Ron, I'm sorry, but I'm like a kid in the candy store sometimes. I really, and not only am I like a kid in the candy store, sometimes I get like a bull in a china cabinet because I don't know how to work with these things. But with that said, we'll be all.
Now I've lost volume. I don't hear anybody else.
Oh, yeah, that's correct, because we're giving you the entire floor to talk. What happens is when she and I go off, we will click off. And when we click off, it's all you. And we give you the opportunity to tell everybody, what you want them to know. And for those who are coming in, I do see a couple of people coming in. This is Mr. Ron Vroman, and he has got some exceptional information to share with us tonight about how he and several of his colleagues went about creating their own assembly in Oregon. And he's going to share with us exactly what that means. But first, we're going to come off the screen so he can have it to himself. And he's going to share with us exactly who he is and where he came from. Thank you so much, Mr. Vroman. You have the floor.
I'm an old man on Oregon. I didn't wake up until 2014. I was dealing with cognitive dissonance. I just couldn't believe what I thought I knew, and then it became obvious that it was so unreal that I just had to get to the bottom of it, and it was a hell of a rabbit hole. So in 2014, I considered myself awake, and then I knew what was going on. I thought, and I started down the rabbit hole, and it's just gotten deeper and deeper. We formed an assembly on Oregon 3 years ago, and then by assembly, that's from the First Amendment. We have the right to assemble in their de facto government. So we assembled, and then we told the DOJ and the FBI and the U.S. Marshals and 36 sheriffs and 30 senators and governor, attorney general, district attorney, etc., that we had assembled on Oregon, and we were the people on Oregon. And nobody denied that. There was no rebuttal. They acquiesced to our statement. Shortly thereafter, we told all the same people we were going to form a grand jury and provide the grand jury with evidence and seek true bills against them and try them in Amendment 7 court. And again, there was no rebuttal. A guy I know at the DOJ, he called me he emailed me and said, better be careful. People that do what you're doing go to jail. And that's true. But we kept right on doing it. And we upped the game. We told all those same people that Article 1, Section 1 of the Oregon Constitution says all power is inherent in the people, and we were the people. And we have the right to change government. And we don't have government on Oregon. We have corporate governance. They incorporated governance here, and government is not incorporated. The United States was also incorporated. Lincoln did it in 1863 or 4. So we haven't had government or law on the United States since 1864, we'll call it. We've had color law. It's pretend government. And dealing with that, if you don't know it, and you think you have a constitutional government, and they do a really good job of being benevolent, and as long as you never cross the government or you never come to their attention or demand your rights, you're just fine. They'll give you a U.S. citizen passport, but I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm an American, a state national. Oregon is my nation. Oregon is a nation state. All of the states are independent nations who have formed a union by their own volition. And all of the people on all of the states have all of the power, and they flipped it on us. And we're flipping it back. There are some really, really strong, wonderful people out there doing great work. You may have heard of Ammon Bundy and his brother Ryan Bundy and their dad, and the battles they've had. And there's other people such as Jim Wright that's formed an assembly of the states. I understand he has 42 or 48 states assembled now in his republic with a CK. And there's Anna von Ritz. She says she has all 50 states assembled, and she has an assembly in all 50 states. And then there's a guy named John Darash who has National Liberty Alliance, and he says he has assemblies. And there's another guy named Keith Livingway who has the Reign of Heaven, and he says he has assemblies. But assemblies are actually pretty simple. The way we did it is 5 people can assemble, and it becomes an assembly. We went with 6 because we wanted to have a alternate, and we formed our assembly. And then we decided we want to be Article 1, Section 1 on Oregon, and we are. There's no number when you are assembling and you are forming We the People on your state. Because we don't have a democracy, we don't have to have a majority. So the number of people you want, say 5 or more, and you form your assembly, then you are. And that's what we're doing. Today, several of us in the assembly went out to Forest Grove and stood around a big flagpole in the middle of 2 one-way streets and people tooted their horn and waved flags at us, and we smiled and waved back at them, and we assembled. And tomorrow I'm going to go to Lake Oswego with a bunch of us, and we'll assemble again. And that's with people's rights. I would suggest that everybody go to peoplesrights.org and find your state and find your zone and find your area and assemble with these people. You may have noticed that the cops will come down on somebody for whatever reason. And I don't say they're always right, or I don't say they're always wrong, but they seem to make a hell of a lot of mistakes. And they'll come down on somebody, and they'll start infringing upon that person's rights. If you watch any of these folks on YouTube that do First Amendment audits, you ever watch any of those folks?
On occasion, not often. No.
I watch several of them because I click on it, and if they go live, I want to know it because I want to be there for them if I possibly can be.
Okay.
And that's what Ammon Bundy's doing. He's organizing people so that you can take care of yourself and you can take care of the people in your community.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody runs afoul of the law and their rights are being infringed upon, if they can notify their action group that I'm on the corner of Spruce and Goose and these folks with the blue line would like to take away my unalienable rights. And if 40 or 50 people show up there in 5 or 10 minutes, there may not be any rights taken away. Did you see those folks in Virginia? I get emotional. I might tear
Was that
up.
a few years ago or most recently?
No, it's 2 or 3 weeks, a month ago.
Okay.
There's like 200-300 men and women all kitted up, and they had a guy out in front. He was wearing all black. And they marched down a main street in Richmond, Virginia, I believe it was.
Okay.
And the cops stopped him and said, where's your permit? And blah, blah, blah. And the guy looked him in the eye. Oh, shit. The guy looked him in the eye and he said, free men don't ask permission. And that's the position I'm in.
Of course.
We don't ask permission. We don't need any. We don't hurt anybody, and we don't destroy anybody's property. Just leave me the hell alone.
Well, you know what? I want to say hello to everyone that has just joined us in the stream. I see that there are a few of our mods that are here. Good afternoon, David Harris, and good afternoon, Old Head Deuce. Sherry, we have also, Sandy Aaron, how are you today? I want to say good evening to everyone, and it's afternoon to Mr. Harris because he is not here in the States. He is way, way down under. Melinda Ann, how are you this evening? Rod, how are you? How is everyone? I want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. We have a wonderful guest here this evening by the name of Mr. Ron Roman. He is sharing with us how he got together with several other people in his state and has created their own assembly, which is what we have a right to do. There are a few organizations right now that are doing that. I know that there are a couple of other channels as I started to look into this on YouTube that are doing the same thing. There's a couple that are very unique in nature, and I don't know where to place them. I mean, some of the things that they're saying are really good, but sometimes you just don't know, what's what and how to do this. Let me ask you one quick question. What has been your pushback from the local government at all? If there's been any, what has been the pushback from the local government? And then I'm going to let Black Spring asks some questions at all. I don't want to hog you to myself. So, but I want to know what has been the pushback with the local government there. And when I say government, I mean from our understanding of what government is.
Okay. Personally, my pushback, and it's been lightweight to some of the stuff that's happened, but I've been arrested by city cops. I've been arrested by sheriffs. I've been arrested by the federal police. Been arrested 6 times and tried in 3 courts and found guilty in 2 and not guilty in 1. And they gave my gun back on the trespass with the firearm. That pissed them off. They didn't like that at all, but I got my gun back. And people around me that I know, one is a fugitive and he's hiding out because Kate Brown, our governor, has a stalking order out against him.
Okay, wait a minute, because I know people are going to ask. Hold up. Your friend is a fugitive now.
Yeah, right now.
Oh my God. Okay, now tell me how that started. Why is this poor person a fugitive? And when you say fugitive, to laymen, to us, that's a heavy duty thing. What's going on with that?
Yeah, it is heavy duty. They got a warrant out for his arrest. If they catch him, they'll jail him.
Wow. And under what pretenses is this going on?
Let me just give you one little thing first.
Go right ahead.
Kate Brown, who is the governor of Oregon at this particular time, when she was senator, she agreed with my friend Richard that she would give him the lawful definition of driver. Instead of doing that, she took out a single contact, no alarm stalking order on him and barred him from being in the state capitol or anywhere near her. And he was arrested later on about that. One time he was arrested, they sent him to the Oregon State Mental Institution that was shown in the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They kept him for 349 days in the Oregon Insane Asylum. And when they finally let him out, they could not find the paperwork that put him into the Oregon Insane Asylum. Now, that's what the guy's dealing with. And they decided to put another arrest warrant out on him. And it's all bogus. But when you're the governor and you do all of these things that she's done, social distancing, masking. In 2016, she put out the order that wound up in the murder of Robert Lavoy Finicum out in Eastern Oregon. This is the kind of person we're dealing with. She's been this way for 20 years. And right now, my friend's hiding out because if they find him, they'll jail him. And when they jail him, they're not going to be nice to him. He just doesn't pay attention and do what he's told.
Well, I'm glad you took a moment and explained that to us, because to me that those bells started ringing. I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody is a they're a fugitive from law, or that's terrible. And I do hope things work out to his benefit. Black Spring, I'm going to pass it over to you. Go right ahead. I'm still baffled at how they did this situation with this poor guy, 349 days. Black Spring, what do you have to?
Well, I just want to ask a question about. Well, I guess I'm assuming that I understand that. Are we as citizens, are we to assume that we are all sovereigns, or is this a status that has to be declared under a legal a legal premise in order to be a part of an assembly or to create an assembly.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, but you asked a whole bunch of stuff and it all gets mixed up. You're born sovereign. You're born that way. Everybody is, no matter where they're born on earth. Then the corporate governance gets to you. And they started this a long time ago. Let's say it's the time of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, about 1932. And they decided that they would make all the people born in the United States, they'd give them all a capitalized name, like my name, Ronald Charles Vroman. And they capitalize that name. And when they capitalize the name, they make you corporate. When they make you corporate, then they sell your name, they sell you on the stock market. You're worth money, you're a valuable commodity. You no longer are the flesh and blood human being, one of the people. You become a legal person. Now, then people say sovereign citizen, which is an oxymoron, because you can't be a citizen, which is like a subject, and a subject is like a slave. All the people on England, on the island of Great Britain, they're all subjects to the Queen. They have a monarchy there. Now, they've formed two houses in their legislature, but it's still a monarchy. When you look at how the laws work, the Queen can say no to any damn law that they pass. So then what does that make you? It makes you a subject. So if you're a citizen of the United States, you're a subject of the United States. The United States is a little tiny piece of land called Washington, D.C. You're not a citizen of the United States, and you're not a sovereign citizen. You're a sovereign, one of the people. And you're on California, so you're a Californian. But they have converted you at your birth to be a corporate name. And unless you say, hey, no, this is not true, you cannot do that to me, I don't consent. Well, if you acquiesce and you're silent, even if it's because you're ignorant, you're still silent. So what they say is true. So what you have to do is you have to declare your status. Now, I say, and many agree with me, that living testimony, that's what people do, is people testify. Corporations and corporate entities make affidavits. So you make a living testimony in the form of an affidavit of truth, and you say who you are. I am one of the people. And we figured out how to do it on one page. And then you get two people that are also of your status. They're not U.S. citizens. They're Californians. They're flesh, blood, and spirit. They're mind, body, and soul. They attest by witness to your signature that you are a living being and you are not chattel to the United States. And they sign it, and then you have your living testimony in the form of an affidavit of truth, witnessed by two people that are the same. And then you do the same for them, and you have three people that are together testifying that they are sovereign humans. They are sovereign beings. That's how you do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's that was very clear. That was very clear, because then I started to, I mean, I've had some other conversations in which even the term of the commercial law came into play, or, when someone approaches you, or if you have maybe a run-in with the law, maybe you have the right, I assume, to ask that person to provide proof that they have the jurisdiction to I guess detain you, or yeah, I'm not sure if I'm
right. You're right on, girl.
Yeah, so that's what so it's very familiar when I've heard the term affidavit of proof, or that you can challenge them if they challenge you legally, and or even like in a court of law, if you need to make them show that they've taken the oath, the correct oath of office for the jurisdiction. I'm not sure if that's correct, or if I'm not making sense there, but I understood you very well. Thank you.
Okay, you're making good sense. You've got a little bit of mixture of apples and oranges together, and that's perfectly all right. You do not ever want to be in their court. Ever. Don't enter their court. If you enter their court, they will take jurisdiction of you. Now, as soon as you cross the divider, the bar into their court, they have jurisdiction over you, because they got 2 cops in the back of that court that will take jurisdiction over you. There's a guy on YouTube. His name is Dick Marple, Marple. Old man. He died last winter. And he was in the House of Representatives for New Hampshire. And he fought them tooth and nail in their own house and against their corporate governance. And he would not enter their court. There's one of him standing on the other side of the bar, hollering at the judge. She was 50 feet away at least, sitting up on her bench, and he would holler at, "I will not enter your damn court. I'm a free man." And she eventually got up and left the bench. Don't enter their jurisdiction. And you're right. If anybody does come against you, if it's a cop, first thing you want to do is ask for his supervisor. And when the supervisor gets there, ask them, by what authority are they doing anything to you, a mind, body, spirit, not of their corporate entity? Fight them. But it'd be a really good idea to do a lot of reading and get some people to negotiate with you and train you, because they're smart. Anything you say can and will be used against you, and anything that you say will not be used for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We do. Thank you so much for that. I think that was excellent questioning. I think those questions, I should say, were very good. And I even love the answers even more. What we have right now are a few questions that have been posed from some of the folks that are in the chat. And the one that's on the screen right now asks, will you please explain the fringe, the gold fringe on the flag? And that comes from Sandy Aaron.
Okay, the gold fringe identifies that as martial law. They took the national ensign, which is the red, white, and blue, and they put a gold fringe around it. And that signifies martial law. And we've been under a benevolent form of martial law since 1861.
Wow.
If you are in a court with a gold fringe flag, you have no constitution. You're in an admiralty court, and there is no constitution in that court.
That's amazing. You see, you know that Black Spring and I are both pupils. We are students. We're not people who just sit around. We're both writing. I can hear her pen writing, and I know she can hear my pen writing, because And you know what? And I encourage everybody to do that. When you have someone who has graced this planet, um, like Mr. Roman has, then you want to glean information from him. I used to, not to say that he is that much, like he's like this ancient person, but I will say this: I respect anyone who is older than I am, who has done anything on this planet, and I love to glean information. With that said, when I was a young girl, I loved to sit at, older people's feet. I would actually braid their hair or shampoo their hair just to be close to them, to talk to them. I would, like you find that lady in the neighborhood who might need help with her groceries or whatever, and I just wanted to talk to her to find out, how are things when you were this age, or how were things when you were that age? And I think that's what possibly gave me the passion for young women that I have now to help them. And so I love to ask him questions. And so I'm glad that we're opening it up to everyone now. Let's see. We have another question here. Is that a doggy?
Yes.
Yeah, a doggy. It looks like a big doggy.
That was cute.
That was adorable, right?
This is one of the smaller ones.
Oh, that's one of the smaller ones. Are those like giant poodles? They look like a giant poodle. He was so fluffy.
This is a poodle. Yeah, standard poodle.
Oh, wow.
This is my grandma dog.
Aw, how sweet. Okay, so let's see. We've got some pretty good questions here. Let me see what this one is here. William Cooper was the original truthful patriot, he says. Oh, Jennifer says he warned everyone what was going to happen in the very near future. FBI sheriff shot high in the head on his doorstep. Oh my, I'm sorry to hear that. And I apologize that I'm ignorant to that. Let's see, do we have any other questions? Stare. What is it?
Stairdesis.
Okay, stairdesis. Thank you guys. Because listen, I'm bold. I will have anyone come and share information with me while I learn. So I'm glad you guys are here while we're taking class. Stairdesis has almost rendered the Constitution impotent. Can you share something about what this nice person said? I love paralysis by analysis, who is the person who posed the question. I'm telling you, I fell in love last week with paralysis by analysis, because the questions and the statements are so on point. What can you tell us about that, since we truly do not know? Come on, tell us all about it.
Yeah,
We want to know. Looks like he's putting his baby away. I love it. Oh, he's got a book.
I'd like to say something about I think the person that said that they killed the guy and shot him in the head.
Yes, what was that? Please enlighten us. That was Jennifer.
I don't know about that particular guy, but there was a guy named Billy, and Billy's last name won't come right now, down in Arizona. Brilliant guy, strong in the law, knew lawful real well, and they killed him in his driveway.
And what was the purpose? Was he entangled with something, trying to become? So basically, what I'm getting is that when you attempt to usurp their alleged or their thought of authority, that you become some type of threat, is what it looks like. Is that a fair assumption? Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. And so let me ask you this then: why? And this is rhetorical. And I told you while we were doing the our conversation process that I will be devil's advocate every now and then. I want to ask this question for the person who's wondering: then why would we want to? What would we gain from doing something like this? What do we gain from creating an assembly? Tell me what we gain and what we stand to, tell me, what do we gain from this? Because somebody's going to want to know, well, gee whiz, if this is happening, then why would I want to do it?
What's in it for me?
Absolutely. The WIFM.
What's in it for you, more than likely, and I'm not saying this in any way other than in my best thoughts for the future.
Absolutely.
But if you decide to go the route that I'm going and thousands of us are going,
Mm-hmm.
and you're unfortunate, not you, no, take
Right.
that
You
back.
mean in general?
If
Mhm.
someone decides to go down the road we're going down
Okay.
and deny anyone the right to infringe upon their unalienable rights,
Mm-hmm.
there's a really good chance for physical harm to come to them, to be incarcerated, and they kill us all the time.
Wow. Okay. The stare decease.
Stare-decis, yes.
Stairdesis. Stairdesis.
Yes.
Stairdesis.
I've heard that phrase, and I think I even got it written up someplace. To adhere to precedents and not to unsettle things which are established.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a full column in Black's Law: to abide by or to adhere to decided cases.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, what that means is do what you're told based on what has already been decided.
Mm.
Okay, so let's examine that a little bit. Prior to the corporation taking over government and little by little withdrawing our unalienable rights bit by bit, prior to all of that, the only law was not to hurt anyone and not to damage or steal their property. That's all. That's really quite simple. Don't hurt anybody and don't damage any property. And then they decided that they had to tell us more things.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say all the people in the town decided, if you want to come into our town,
Mm-hmm.
you have to leave your gun out on the fence post before you come into town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, do they have the right to do that? Does the town have the right to disarm a man
Mm-hmm.
before he can walk into that town? Good question. But they decide it, and then they set precedents on it,
Mm-hmm.
and they demand it, and they uphold it, and they keep doing that to our rights one by one until they're diminished to the point that you don't have one. People now say they passed another law on gun control. Well, how in the hell did they pass the first one? The people that passed the first one broke their oath. They denied us, those that are here for them to serve, they denied us what is guaranteed to us, the right to protect yourself and your family. But they started out with, well, you just can't have a 50 caliber machine gun. Well, who in the hell are you to tell me I can't have a bazooka? I have the right to have any arm I want. Now, it's not reasonable for me to have a tank living in Beaverton,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no one that has the right to tell me I can't have one. There's nobody that tells me I have to go stand on a particular corner to say what I want to say. I say whatever I want to say, any place I want to say it, and I get in trouble. Well, how in the hell can I get in trouble for just saying what is on my mind when I have the freedom to speak? Then they say, oh, yeah, but that's hate speech. Well, how in the hell can it be hate speech if I'm saying what I think and how I feel? That's not hate speech. Your rights don't start with my mouth.
You say your rights don't start with my mouth. Derek C. Williams, please pick the link up. Sorry, I dropped into the box. If you please don't mind, you're putting in some really good topics and some really good statements that you're making. And I would love to invite you on just to have a couple of opportunities to ask some of those questions. My guest this evening is Mr. Ron Vrollman, and he is sharing with us how to start your own assembly. We've gotten on a few other questions because we've been interested in asking some other things that we didn't know. But I want to ask you, let's just get right into the meat of this over the next few minutes that we have left together. What are the things that you need? You mentioned earlier that you have to have 45 people. You are right now, you've already started your assembly and you're in the need of the completion. So there are going to be the right people, and I shared this with you the other week. The right people are who is going to obviously join, but you need 45. And explain to those in the chat why they have to have 45 people. Tell us about the numbers. Tell us about what they mean. Tell us about all of that.
Okay. After you assemble, so you've got an assembly, hooray for you. And I'm glad you did it. Now what are you going to do? So then you have to decide, I want to lawfully change this situation that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that are doing vile and evil things, and we have to stop them. So how do we stop them? We stop them lawfully. You form enough people, you get a base, you get, we use the number 45. You assemble 45 people in a jury pool. That's 45 people that will stand up in their own name and say, yeah, I will be a juror for no pay and for no government. And I will listen to the facts and I will bring a true bill. So these 45 people, all non-U.S. citizens, in my case, all Oregonians, free men and women that will do their job and stand up and do their duty. Those 45 people form a jury pool. Now, 25 of those people form a grand jury. And a grand jury made up of your peers, Oregonians, non-U.S. citizens, not foreign nationals, not peaceful inhabitants, Oregonian men and women. They form a 25-person grand jury. And the grand jury, out of those 45, will listen to the facts and they'll say, yeah, Ron, here's a true bill. Kate Brown is a criminal and you should take her to court. And then they give me a true bill. And then I take that true bill over and I walk it up to 12 to 15. I like 15 because I like to have a few alternates. And those 12 to 15 people form an Amendment 7, a jury of your peers on Oregon, whose verdict has no appeal in law. There's nobody that can deny a Seventh Amendment trial jury of their verdict. And so they listen to the true bill. They listen to all of the evidence, the people that bring evidence, the people that defend themselves, and then they give a verdict. It's either, well, whatever the hell the jury says. Then you take that verdict and you take it to the people that are charged with enforcing the law, the sheriff, the provost marshal of the National Guard on your state, the U.S. Marshals, whomever it is whose job and function it is to enforce a verdict of a trial jury, and you tell them, do your job. What if they do it? Good. What if they don't do it? You go to the next one. You go to the next one. And the final one is, if you go to the marshal, the sheriff, and everybody, and you say, I have a lawful verdict here, and I would like you to enforce it, and they refuse. Well, that's where the Second Amendment comes up. That's where a militia of Americans, Oregonians, that cannot get remedy from the elected people, the sheriff, the provost marshal, the U.S. marshals, the people that are required to do their job, and you can't get it, well, then you go to the Second Amendment militia. Tell them, do your job. On Oregon, it's all men between 17 and 60. I imagine if I wanted to ask women to join, they would. The Israeli chicks do. They don't have any problem at all strapping on a gun. So that's what it is. Nohide is actually 6th. The 7th is to dorm courts of justice. Nohide. I've listened to Nohide. I don't go with all that stuff. There is no English law. That's in England. Common law came to the United States in the late 1500s, 1600s. Romans came to this land, New York, in 1664. I have two ancestors, a father and a son, that fought in the Revolution. We've been here a long time. We have American common law. That's what we have. The English have all that they did, and the French have what they did, and we have what we have. And it starts with the Declaration of Independence. Then the next thing is the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. And then the next thing is the United States of America's Constitution, and then your state's Constitution. Then there are treaties and statutes at large. There is nothing else. There is no UCC or U.S. code or state statutes. That's all for them to do their job, not for us.
You know what? I appreciate you for saying that. Let me just say what I have heard several different people mix what you're saying up. Because the more you speak, the more I remember hearing a little piece here and a little piece there. I see a lot of the Moors saying a lot of these things. I see a lot of different people saying things. But I want to ask you a question. Would it not be feasible to understand that if you're going to take any piece of this and exercise that or apply that to your life, then you'd be better off applying the whole thing? Because to me, it sounds like the little bits and pieces and the drips that I've heard, and I have seen people on these little court shows, and the person's saying, well, I'm a sovereign citizen, and I'm a this, and I'm a that, and I'm a go, and they just be going on and on. And I'm sitting there going back and forth, looking at the TV like, are you kidding me? So somewhere along the line, there are a lot of people who are mixing this up. And I know that I have heard of the Moors, the Moorish people that are mixing it up. That's who I've heard talk like this. So I don't exactly know how we get to having this as an organized thing. Now, let me ask you this. Since this happened way back in the 1800s, is it feasible for us to imagine that this would be actual viable today, that this would be something that we could do with great success? And if so, what has gone on, or whom else has been successful with an assembly? Can you give us an example of an assembly that may have been extra successful that we might know of? Because, it's sort of hard to figure and imagine putting yourself in an environment or a situation where that would be something you could do. It's almost impossible because I don't see of any large things. And I do remember the Bundy situation. I do remember a few other situations as time has gone on. But I just want to know what would make people look forward to it. It seems like a very hard road, a very worthwhile road if you could get to the end of it and be successful with it, because then you would have inherited apparently your natural right to exist. And that's what this sounds like to me. It's a struggle for you to just naturally exist. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but if you could just tell me, piece by piece, however you want to share it, how could this work? How could this work right now today?
All right. First, you have to do a lot of research to find out what the truth is and what the lies are. And there's a hell of a lot of lies out there. The Executive Order 100 from Lincoln started the Lieber Code, martial law. That's a long time ago. We called up the Army Heritage, and I can give you their number. In fact, I gave it to you. I sent you the one pager on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we asked them, tell me about the Lieber Code. She says, oh yeah, that was updated in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Is that close enough for you?
That's close, right?
Okay. So the Lieber Code that put us in martial law was still part of the existing Army plan in 2015. And I have not heard, and they didn't tell me when I called them, that there's been any change since 2015. So they've been pulling this on us for a long, long time. That's the United States. Now, you got to remember the United States is a service company created by the several states to do the job of governing in the world, foreign agents, peace treaties, income, tariffs, all of those things, providing passports. That's what the United States job is. The United States is located in Washington, D.C. It doesn't have a damn thing to do with me and you. Not lawfully. They're operating in color of law. They're totally unlawful. The whole bunch of them. And that's the way it is. And it's been that way since Lincoln's time. People go, how in the hell could that be? Well, I give you the phone number. You can call up and ask yourself. When I called up the JAG, the
military, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Judge Advocate General, his name is David in Salem.
Oh, okay.
And I called him up and I said, this is what I'm into. And he said, yeah. He says, I know all about the Lieber Code. I know all about Ex parte Milligan. He knows what I'm talking about. He's in that. That's his business. He's in military law. He knows that we're in martial law. It's benevolent. We all marched around the flagpole today and nobody went to jail. But if they wanted to, you see what they do to people? Do you watch on the internet? The things are right down to the crunch, girl. We're right down to the really bad place. There are too many of us that actually know what the hell's going on.
And I agree with that. I think that there are people who really, truly, and honestly do understand what time it is, and there are some of us who just don't. There are some of us who get it, and there's some that don't. I want to ask you a really quick question because we're coming down to our 1 hour mark, which we have enjoyed very, very much. Where can our people in the chat find you?
RonVroman38@gmail.com. You can also go to YouTube, Oregon Statewide General Assembly.
Oregon Statewide General Assembly on YouTube.
Jural, Jural.
Jural.
Jural, yes. Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly on YouTube, and orsja.org. And we just got a guy named William come aboard with us, and he's our IT guy. Hell, I don't know how to do this stuff. I can barely
It's okay.
Around.
The people, I know you told me that the other night, but the people who are in the chat can definitely look him up, his channel, and help him grow there. I know that it's a relatively new channel, but their quest is not something that is new. I've always wondered how this type of thing goes on. I know that Demita, who was one of our colleagues that comes and joins us on the channel quite often, was supposed to be here tonight. She is away with family. And of course, we know it is the Thanksgiving season coming up. So family is doing all kinds of good stuff. But with that said, I know that she is a part of another organization that is doing the same type of thing, but of course in New York. So it is apparent that there are a lot of people. Yes, Jural, Jural. Jural. But there are a lot of people who are, interested in doing different things in their community. And I think that from her standpoint, based on what she said here on the platform before, is that they're just really trying to keep the government accountable in their community. That's what their assembly is looking to do, is to keep them accountable, to make sure that if they vote people in, that they're doing what they sent them there to do. And I think that any efforts in the right direction to keep their community together and to keep the police and everybody accountable is a good thing. So I want to thank you, Ron, and I hope that you can please get back with us really soon to let us know when you can come back to join us, because we are so amazed at some of the things that that we're just picking little questions here and there. And I really want to get down to the meat of it so that we can, in the future, let everybody know what their lawful rights are, just for them existing in peace and coexisting. Because to be honest with you, there are not a lot of people who are the pioneers like you are. You are from the old school. You are from the school that, you one of the rocks. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got the mountain, you got the rock, you're one of those cats. You're not somebody who is to be played with or to be messed with. You're a very strong person. You are old school. And so a lot of times there's not those type of people that are willing to take that, but they may be able to take something that you have to say and put it to use in their lives, no matter how big or no matter how small. So for that, we want to thank you for the sacrifices that you have made and the things that you are doing for Oregonians in your area. And I hope that you do meet that threshold that you need to propel you guys into the next level. I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Do you have anything you want to share with everybody who's in the chat before you leave?
From your mouth to God's ear.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless. Oh, what an awesome hour that went by so very fast. I'm excited, right? Because it's like, that's like mind blowing to know that there are people who have that love for their, just their love for their fellow man and their love for the people that are around them to be as bold as he is. There are a lot of people who are not as bold as he is. And, they run around with their shoulders all squared, acting like they're big and bad, like they can do a whole lot of stuff. But here's a gentleman who has truly and honestly put his words to action. They say BS walks or something like that. Money talks and BS walks or whatever.
Yes.
This man is walking the walk, talking the talk, and living the life. Those are components that you want to see in people right now today. And I'm so glad that he was able to join us. When we have him come back, I want to make sure that you guys have asked the questions that you want to know the next time he comes. I want you guys to leave questions inside of the chat. Leave them here inside of the stream. And I will glean those questions, pull them to the side, and we will choose some very substantive questions so that we can ask him. If there's anybody in Oregon right now who watched him here with us tonight, I am telling you, if this is something that you have been trying to do, and if this is something that you want to do, please join him. You have the channel, and I'm just really happy that we had the opportunity to welcome him into our space this evening and to introduce all of you guys to him. So how's it going there, Miss Black Spring? How you doing?
Well,
Did you get the link that that he had? Were you able to get the link to drop it in here so we can see?
I did not. I just wrote down quite a few things.
Derek, where's the link you were just telling us about with El Presidente?
Yeah, I didn't see. I didn't. He said. I think he emailed it. He may have emailed it. I didn't see it in here. Yeah.
I don't think it's in the chat. Let me see. I'm in Oregon and I missed the show. Love in the Midst. How did you do that? We had this awesome gentleman, Mr. Ron Roman, has been with us for about the last hour. And I just want to tell you, we were truly blessed. I think that there are not a lot of people out there who are as bold as he is. The righteous are as bold as a lion. Where are all the righteous? Hello, you see what I'm saying? You guys, there's a weirdness in the air right now. I'm not sure what's going on, but there's something that feels real thick. It's not from our show at all. It's something in the spirit. So I don't know what's going on. I'm not watching the news. I'm not up on anything that's going on right now, but I feel like there's something that's happening. Is anybody here that knows what's going on? Because something weird is, I know you guys think I'm weird, but I'm not weird. I'm that person.
No, not a chance.
I'm the person who wakes up in the middle of the night praying when God wakes me up, praying for somebody. So in any case, I don't see any news alerts or anything from none of my things that are going on. But I do know what Derek just told us about, that he wanted us to put, that he gave you to put into the stream, is off the chain. Derek, send it to me WhatsApp, and I will put it in the stream.
Wait. Let me check something here.
Check and see, because he just put something about the
refresh
being poised to declare a winner, and that was the.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it in. Let me check my other email.
And I'm looking in my WhatsApp to see if it's here. What is up with WhatsApp? Why do they have this thing here? I don't like Facebook at all, but they've taken over everything. Whatever happened to that law about having a monopoly on things? Whatever happened to that? Isn't it amazing?
Okay.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about? There was a law once upon a time that said you couldn't have a monopoly on things, but I don't think that they care. Anyway, folks, I'm so glad that you guys are all here tonight. I'm going to give her the opportunity, Miss Black Spring, to fix that and to get what she's going to get together for us, because I'm excited to know what's going on. So welcome to Saturday Night is Live. Of course, you know I am Felicia Lockhart of the Lockhart Perspective. And we are just really happy to be here this evening. We just had a great guest. And, you know, the questions were sort of everywhere that we kept asking, because it's like, you know, you get somebody you've never seen that's, you know, but you've heard of this type of person. And then all of a sudden you just have all these questions that are coming. That's how it was. And it was very interesting. I don't really think that a lot of people understand that once they start using the verbiage, you know, sovereign and all this other stuff in any capacity, how much weight that truly and honestly really does carry. And you've got to be prepared to deal with the whole role of that, as opposed to just being able to throw those words out and then, you know, sort of wait to see, did it work? Didn't it work? I think in order for you to deal with that, the whole mindset, you got to be prepared to do a lot of work. Black Spring, you ready? You coming back in?
Oh,
No? Okay.
All
right.
Let me.
Okay. I'm faking it. She wasn't that. That wasn't her. Hey, folks, let's give you guys some moments here. Let me talk to everybody. So let's see. We have Rachel. Hello. How are you? Sherry B. Wait a minute. What did she say? Because you said for real. How about human cells being grown as meat to eat? You know what? You guys be throwing out some good information in this chat. And I'd be begging for y'all to come on in here and talk to me, because sometimes it's just, you can read a lot of stuff, but it's just something about having that person to talk to. R. Jones, how you doing? It's just something about Coach Sherry. How are you this evening? It's just something about having that human contact and that individual to be able to come in and say what it is they're trying to tell you. And I really wish that you would come here. Rachel, please pick up the link and tell me what it is. Please tell me, what is this you talking about? Girl, how about human cells being grown as meat to eat? Oh my. Now listen, all you got to do is click that link. Do it on your cell phone. Do it on your computer. It doesn't, on your computer or your cell phone. It's easy. Click it. And then you could come in here and we could talk, because I need to know about this, because there has been some really freaky meat. I told you guys about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I said there's something weird about the meat. And I don't know whether you guys remember that, but who remembers me saying there's something weird about the meat? You got the meat. Something's weird about the meat. And I said it didn't fry the same. It didn't cook the same. It didn't bake the same. It didn't make the same. It didn't do all of that stuff the same. So I don't know, but I really wish that you would pick that up. Anybody that wants to pick up that link, you can please pick it up and come on in and talk to us. We Don't Bite, especially on Saturday Night, is live. I'm so glad. Oh, we got somebody. Hey, it's Rachel. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
Is it Rachel or Raquel?
It's Rachel.
Rachel, okay. Because I was saying the other night, Raquel. Seems like Raquel Welch, right? Tell us.
Yes, I found there's and they were talking about human cells being used from your cheek, grown in a lab, to eat like you would a steak.
Okay, say that again.
Your cells from your cheek,
Okay,
grown in a lab,
okay,
to eat like regular meat.
okay. And where you hear this from, girl?
It's a Facebook group, also a YouTube channel called Enter the Stars.
Okay, I'm writing this down. I got to check this out. Okay, Enter the Stars. You know what, you guys, I'm sorry to say this, but I believe a lot of unique things. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I've always believed that whatever the brain can think, it can happen. That is how my mind works. Whatever the mind can imagine, I believe that it can happen.
I looked it up. Even Fox News is reporting it.
Really?
Yeah.
Get out.
Oh
Okay.
Yep.
Did you find it? Did you find it on your
I
phone?
found it something in the science. I found Science News for students.
Yes.
And you've been on Lab.
That's one of them.
Oh my God. Okay, read it. Read it.
Okay. Okay. This says that people might one day grow meat in factories instead of having to harvest it from farmland animals. So far, attempts at lab-grown meat haven't managed to match the texture of animal muscles eaten as meat. Scientists have been working to coax cells to organize into something like fibrous meat that ends up on our plates. One new development does this using a technique akin to spinning cotton candy. It grows meat with more structure. Researchers described it October 21st in the journal Science of Food. Growing meat in a lab could mean using fewer animals and lowering environmental costs associated with raising livestock. It takes a lot of land and water to grow animals. Also, quote, we all like animals, but we like to eat meat too, end quote, says Luke McQueen. He's a tissue engineer at Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Move the process outside of animals, and scientists could grow only the meat parts they want, he says.
So they just gonna make you out to be a cannibal.
I actually went and I looked up different news platforms, and it's even on Pinterest.
Help us, Holy Spirit. Father God, help us. Girl.
And they've actually already done it with the cells of your cheek.
Well, how do they get? I mean,
That's a good question. I didn't look.
How are they
into,
authorized to use? I mean,
Well, it's your own, you own your body. So
You
if
know,
you
I'm gonna
take your,
tell you how they did it. I'm gonna tell you how they did it. When you do that DNA thing,
That 23 and me, perhaps.
Mhm.
aren't you doing something on the inside of your mouth where you swabbing on the inside of your cheek? And
Yes.
aren't you signing over your rights when you do those tests? Don't you tell them that once you do it, that's it. Let's get a 23andMe. Right? Am I right about that?
Yes, you are.
I don't know if you sign over your rights because most of us don't look at the small
The
print.
disclaimer, but I guarantee you that disclaimer is letting you know that once you swipe the inside of your mouth, the rest that you are going to leave to research, I guarantee you something like that is in there, because how on the planet are we getting cheek meat?
Now I don't think they've gone to the point of like manufacturing it and selling it, but
Okay,
They
that's all I'm
always-
about to say.
yeah, they always do things without letting you know what they're doing. And they
Mhm.
experiment on us all the time. Chemtrails,
Mhm.
all sorts of let's do this experiment and see how a bioweapon will spread if we release it.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're doing some crazy stuff. I mean, you hear people talk about Soylent Green.
I said that the other night. Soylent Green is people.
Yeah.
Get the word out to them, Jim. Tell them, Jim.
And have you ever, I know this is probably like maybe a little too close to conspiracy theory, but I at one point in time saw a rabbi talk about how,
Mickey D's.
yeah, aren't we getting a little comfortable with using humans when we talk about food?
Mm-hmm. And you know who else did that? She is a star. She is a wife of Legend. His wife was talking about
John Legend.
yes, his wife. There was a clip
Yikes.
before I go any. There was a clip of her asking a man which would he prefer, and it was something dealing with a person or eating somebody, and it was really disgusting. But here's the thing:
Or the Kardashians talking about eating placenta.
see, you guys, I don't, this right here, y'all, I don't, this ain't, y'all, Lord
Yeah.
Jesus, Lord Jesus, help them, Lord.
And I don't get this from like everyday news because I don't watch
Well, you
TV.
can't trust it. You can't trust it. But you know what I thought about? I thought about the fact that back in the day, we used to look at the tabloid and it was called the Examiner. Was that what it was? The National Enquirer.
Yes.
Was the National Enquirer. And we would think that that was such a tabloid, just like a little rag back in the day. However, I started looking at some of the things that we're experiencing right now today. And I started to think to myself, wait a minute. A lot of the stuff that we're experiencing was in that back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, wait a minute, maybe that was the real news, and the stuff that we're looking at right now was not. Derek C. Williams on the screen, to your point, Rachel, says that lab-grown meat is here. He's got the www. He's got the link there. You guys go ahead and pick that up because it's way up at the top. But it's
wow.
11 to 20 pound lab-grown steak made with human cells. My reason for saying what I said to you earlier was because of the fact that generally whenever they're going to put something out, it's because it's already done. And generally, when it's already done, they're going to try to massage your mind to make you think it's all good and it's okay. That's why I knew it had to be happening. See, Max says there are a lot of things going on. People have their own labs. God has already said it. So you know it's going to happen. Sister Felicia, you are right. If we can think it, it can usually be done. So
like at the Tower of Babel, where God said,
Go
He was
ahead,
going
girl.
to
Preach it.
he was going to confuse the languages because look what they can do when they get together. And then they took that very what do you want to call it, religion, that pagan religion, and spread it to all corners of the earth. It never stopped.
Yep. Look at what David Harris said in response to your topic. David says, yes, they probably want to clone all of us that they choose for robotic slaves. When you get thinking, I'm telling you guys, we sitting here conversing and having this conversation about this, but just the mere fact, you see what I'm saying? We could be, and that's the reason why I think that, again, like I say all the time, they try to keep all of us divided. They want the black to stay away from the white. They want the black and the white to hate each other. They want the tall and the short to be different. They want the fat to dislike the skinny. They want the skinny to know what, it's like, it's all of these isms. And that's the reason.
Everybody against everybody.
You see what I mean? And with that, they can keep us all confounded by confusion. And that in and of itself is a problem. Let's see what else we have here. The religion of Nimrod. Very good. Beyond Meat. Somebody just says that Beyond Meat is highly processed, and who knows what is in there. Who knows what's in there? They said I had an epiphany after vegetarian for years. Think and pray on it. Very good. That's a good decision to do. Think and pray when you do everything. Let's see. We had another couple of things up here about Rachel's topic. Let's see what she was saying right here. Coach Sherry says, I don't believe in the Beyond Meat. You're either a vegetarian. You're either a vegetarian or not. And Beyonds to me is a way to pull vegetarians back into the fold. My daughters are vegetarians. And I think she's absolutely right. I mean, especially if you don't really know what it is that you're getting down with. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't, why do it at all? Let's see. David Harris.
It also pulls us into the occult.
Yes, I agree. Tell us how. Tell us how you think so. Come on, tell us how.
When you eat another human being, think about the occult practices that are performed and the connection they think that they are getting through that eating of human flesh, blood, spirit. God never meant for us to do anything like that.
Nope. He did
so
not.
It brings to mind many occult practices that involve the eating of human flesh.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. If you guys remember, there's so many of those old movies that all have to do with like worshiping of those dark entities, and they always have to do with some type of bloodletting, cutting the hand, sharing the blood, eating of a heart, or eating of meat of another human being, or something like that. Rachel is spot on. She is spot on, because if they can get you to do that, then see what'll happen is you'll be doing it without knowing it. Here was the goal with exactly what she just shared with us. I'm gonna tell you guys what the true goal was. They were hoping that nobody would read, see that story, hear about that story, and that nobody would pick it up. Why? Because by the time you start eating it and you're about a year in, it'll be too late to do anything about it. You know why? Because all they're going to say is, we told you. We had it on the news. It was in the newspaper. We told you. Why are you upset with us? It's not like we hid any of this. But you know what? I'm going to tell everybody something. My prayer most recently has been that God reveals every single thing that his people, the ones that trust and love him, that he reveals everything. So there will be nothing that is hidden. As long as we pray that and we believe that, we have got to do that, because it's dangerous for us to walk around in this bubble and think that everybody else has something better for us than our Father in heaven. We have to ask him to reveal it because we'll be walking into a ditch. We will be walking into a ditch. Come on back in here, ma'am. Did you find it?
I still don't. I don't.
Well, how about the link that he just put in here where he was talking about the 11 pound? Oh my goodness, he's got another one. You know what, Gary?
He's going 90 going north.
Yes. Nuggets and Silly Putty is here. The day
I'm gonna rip it off really quickly.
You're gonna rip it.
Okay.
Rip it good.
Okay, let's see, I'm gonna paste it right here, and then I can share the screen if you like.
Yes, I'm gonna give it to you and Rachel. I'm gonna come off and let you guys share, or you're gonna share it to all of us. So we'll just be like 1, 2, 3. You're gonna toss it to me, and there will be 1, 2, 3.
Let's see. Let me hit the share screen here.
Okay, and then we'll be 1, 2, 3, and we'll just all stay there hanging
this
out.
was titled "Scientists Found a Way to Make Brick." Oh my God! This was the first one that he posted? This is not the chicken McNuggets one. Do you want the baking bricks out of poop? Do you want to deal with that one?
So I guess that gives a whole new term to your essing bricks.
You want to clean it up a little bit, and we go to the chicken nuggets instead.
I think we should. Well, yeah, because I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had dinner, so I don't know if I can handle.
I'm not. What your husband say, Rachel?
I'm not sure. Something about
don't go to Burger King.
Don't go to Burger King.
While you're pulling that up, C-Max says God's word tells us that we are going to destroy ourselves if Jesus does not intervene. Well, to your point, there is a scripture that says that my people suffer for a lack of knowledge. And that is so true. So, and this is what we're doing. We're chatting, we're talking, we're getting it all together. And I appreciate you for saying it because it's the truth. R. Jones says some great protein to grow at home: edamame, nuts, peanuts, peas, heirloom green beans, chicken, quail, and rabbits. Chicken and quail.
Unless you live in the city.
Chicken and quail, but I ain't messing with no rabbits. You guys know what? I don't like anything that's small and fuzzy.
Rabbit's good.
I think those are cute.
He hunts.
I don't like rabbits. I don't like squirrels. I don't like cats. I don't like nothing teeny tiny that can. Okay, go ahead, do your thing. I'm gonna have all kinds of. I'm gonna be shaking all night long.
But they're pulling us into a lot of their demonic
rituals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And isn't it great to know the great I am? Isn't it awesome to know the great I am? Isn't it awesome to know that the blood that was shed for me way back on Calvary's tree, it still works today. The blood still works today, so they can try whatever they want. But I'm going to tell you something. The whole reason why we get down and bless our food, don't you know that every time you've ever found something in your food, if you think back, you have blessed your food before you ate it. Think about it. Every weird thing you have ever found in your food, and there have been times where you have forgotten to bless your food. So you already know. The times that you remember and yet you have blessed your food and you look down there and you say, Lord, thank you. I could have been eating this whatchamadoodle.
Okay, so we have some not so lovable chicken nuggets narrative from back in the
day.
Back in the day, I think 2010. I remember this specifically. I remember some type of video narrative, an anecdotal. I think they actually took you through the McDonald's prep area. I'm saying
how do I start it?
Okay, hold on just a second. There's a lot of
ads. They're not trying to add us.
Okay, let me see. I thought, okay, stop seeing this ad. Let me click that. Okay.
Stop it. No seeing.
Okay. All right, so as soon as I do that, something else comes up.
Stop it.
Okay, there we go. So this is from the Daily Mail here. It's not loving it. The U.S. chicken nuggets contain silly putty chemical.
Oh, my lamb. My lamb. Like my mama. My lamb. My lamb.
So yeah, but then where's that coming in? Okay, so let's see, we close that. Okay, I can just read it here if you want. The chicken nuggets sold in the U.S. branches of McDonald's contain a chemical used in silly putty. McDonald's sold to American fast food lovers contain dimethylpolysiloxane, an anti-foaming agent used in silly putty. They also have more calories and fat than those sold in the chain's British restaurants, according to a CNN study. 4 American McNuggets total 190 calories, 12 grams of fat, and 2 grams of saturated fat. The equivalent portion in Britain clocks in at 170 calories, 9 grams of fat, and 1 gram of saturated fat.
And
So
they got the nerve to tell us the caloric intake.
Yes, voila. That's I mean, gosh, when you would break those things open, they just look bizarre. I'm sorry to talk about it from back in the day. It's like, this is bizarre.
Little bitty strings of all kinds of stretchy stuff. I want to know, it's a weird thing because there was a chicken sandwich that I used to eat and it was really good a long time ago. It was like it wasn't a sandwich at the restaurant. It's like a Carl's Jr. on the West Coast. And here, I forgot what it's called. I think it's a Hardee's or something.
Yeah.
And years ago, they came out with this chicken strip and it was so good. I think maybe my third or fourth visit stretched out over a few months, right? Because I wasn't eating there all the time. Just like the first time I ate them, they were good. Next time I ate them, they were good. Several months passed. I'm headed out of another part of Alabama and I grab them and I get on the road and I'm like, yikes. They had what looked like rubber bands in them. I'm like, can we just have something about the rubber bands? It's like the stretchy stuff. And, we've all been cooking forever, right?
They're maggots.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Rachel. Gee, thanks, Mr. Rachel. But they had like rubber bands in them, yo. They were like rubber band chicken. And I'm like, this is not good. So I stopped eating there. But it's amazing. They are using us as the crash dummies. They really are. They're using us as a crash dummy. They're testing us. They're testing everything on us. It's just crimes against humanity. It really honestly is. But here's the thing. If we could, I possibly wouldn't want to go through all of that other stuff to go against a bunch of people because, I'm just a wimp like that. I don't have time for all of that stuff. I just rather live my life. But what I would like to do is my own community co-op with like fruits and veggies and chickies. Like you guys maybe have the chickens and I have like a bunch of fruits and vegetables. And then, and then Black Spring, maybe you guys would have, something else, maybe somebody's making soap, or I would love to have a community like that where we could all just, barter. If you need some chicken, here goes some chicken. If you need eggs, here goes some eggs. If you need, whatever, make our own thing. I just remember when I was a little girl, we learned how to cook at a young age. We learned how to grow fruit. I remember my brother, Lee, from Lee Red Nation. That's my blood brother. He ain't brother, that's my brother. Lee Red Nation. We used to take corn. We used to take corn, huh?
My husband is.
What do you say?
He's a joker.
Okay. We used to go outside and stick beans in my mother's front yard, like right in her flower bed when it was time to change out the flowers and put something else there. Before they put it in, we would stick like beans in it. We would drop like corn seeds in it. We would drop like onion just take the whole bulb and put it in there. And she would end up with like corn growing and beans sprouting and all kinds of crazy mess. But back in the day, that's how we were. We were more in touch with nature. Right now, God help us to what we are becoming, because to listen to something like that and to see that they're literally making headway with producing garbage as food is amazing to me. And I believe that this started with the last administration. If I'm not mistaken, there was a situation with the last administration where they approved or allowed the food and drug, the food people to not have to tell you what you were eating. I believe it was something like that.
And that happened once Trump declared a national emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Behind the scenes, anything that was taken out or put into our food, and I don't remember where exactly I heard this, but they could change the ingredients in our food and not tell us.
So now was that just recently? you
Within
talking
this
about-
pandemic period, yes.
Wow. So we'll be looking for that. Black Spring. We'll probably need to look for that like yesterday.
And another thing, I don't know if it was here in the United States or abroad, but they are starting to make it so that you have to have like, according to code,
mhm.
you have to have permission to grow a garden.
Excuse me?
Yes.
You guys, as loquacious as I am, tonight is about the first night that I have been silent on a few things. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
It's getting worse.
I don't think it's here in the US. I've been watching Canada, like Canada, France, Germany, a few things on like China, Bangkok. A lot of the YouTube channels I watch cover different areas of the world, because what happens in other areas is going to drift
Our way.
our way.
And I agree with that. There's like 110%. I agree with you 110%.
And sometimes they want you to turn your head one way and do something the other
Yeah,
way.
they'll have us looking at one thing when we should be looking at something else, like the elections right now.
Yeah. You guys. Yeah.
And then we got Klaus Schwab talking about the Great Reset and
Weirdo.
merging
Yes.
AI with humans, transhumanism.
All of it's against God, and that's exactly what the
Yeah.
whole thing is about, is to get us off of our path and off of the direction that we're supposed to be going. A lot of people want us to be angry and mad and mean and all that stuff right now. But here's what I'm going to say. Have you ever been able to think clearly while you've been angry?
No.
Mm-hmm. No, you can't think clearly while you're angry. But what you can do when it's downtime, what you can do is you can strategize. Then when it's time to use that anger, you can use that anger. And you'll have the Holy Spirit with you, the same way that it was when Jesus went through that temple. When Yeshua went through that temple, he was not hitting things like with a feather and running through there. Oh, stop it. Get out of here. My father's house is no. He went ham. And right now, it's time for us to strategize in our minds and to pray and to get things in a way that we know how to take care of our family and our friends. Show love, because without love, the Bible even say without holiness, no man shall see God. So you got to walk in love. It's not an option. But make sure that you keep your eyes open, because a lot of the stuff that we think we drinking, like this right here, Derek says, Derek fetal cells in many prepared foods. The company Cinomix turns them into flavor enhancers only to have to say natural flavors on the label. That's exactly what I was saying to one of my relatives, and they were like, "Oh, here she go again. Here she go again." This is what I was talking about. What Derek is saying right here in his response. Cinemax, just that's them. He says, the old guy knew, but apparently fetal cells in drinks. New, but apparently fetal cells in the drinks is just one of the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
God help us today. What's the
And
answer?
supposedly some of our sodas, like
Pepsi for sure.
Pepsi.
Mm-hmm. It was Pepsi.
I wasn't positive that was the truth, but there was a list of companies that are using fetal cells as flavor enhancers, as if we need that.
Yeah, it was
And
cells.
why would we look to humans, or even like these human chimera, the mice human hybrid things called chimeras to put in our vaccines or put in our foods. Why are we doing that?
Well, I think that it's just, listen, I think whenever we talk about the mark of the beast, and whenever we talk about things that are dealing with end time eschatology, I think for quite a long time we equated it with just one specific thing that was going on, or just one specific person. But when you look at the total sum of things, when you look at everything, you will understand that the whole entire mindset of the Antichrist is a system. It's a system.
Right.
And every component and everything that our Father in heaven did, the devil will do it the opposite. Think about that. Everything that is opposite of God right now is what everybody is doing. So if God said man and woman make and procreate, then the devil's going to do the opposite. Okay.
So I have a question for you on that.
Mm-hmm.
When the fallen angels came to earth
Mm-hmm.
and mated,
Mm-hmm.
and it says in the Bible that they corrupted all flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just human flesh or animals too?
That was everything, because if you remember, there was a particular period where even Enoch, they were showing how the Bible says that they lost use of the man, that they were just done with man. So what they started doing was going into the beast of the field and going to the birds in the air. And so now when you're thinking about that and you say, oh my goodness, well, what does that mean? That means giants. Okay, so what's a giant lizard look like? Maybe a dinosaur. What's a giant bird look like? Maybe a pterodactyl, one of them pterodactyls. What does a giant, what does giants look like? You remember Caleb went into the land and he came back and he said, Caleb, what's his name? Joshua and Caleb, they went out and they came back and they said, when they gave the report to Moses, they were like, okay, well, here's our report. There are giants in the land and they are devouring people. When people were reading those scriptures, while we were coming up in church, they were just saying, and they was beating them up and they was devouring them, they was doing this and they was doing that. No, sir. They were literally eating the people. And the giants were who was eating the people, the devouring, all of that stuff that we're talking about right now, all of that is what was going on then. So when people think of Adam, when people think of Eve, when people think of all of these things, they really don't put the true pieces together, because somewhere along the line, somebody taught them in a fairy tale way, as opposed to literally what the Most High allowed to be left in the Bible. Because the Bible's been tampered with on many different fronts, but he is awesome. He is so awesome that he left enough for us to delve into. And like it says in the word, for us to study to show thyself approved, a workman that does not need to be ashamed, but rightly dividing the word of truth, as I paraphrase. That is so true. Because if you have that truth with you, you will have to rightly divide what you are reading right now today to find out exactly what he was saying. You'll have to look at the period of time. You'll not only have to look at the period of time that whatever it is you're reading was written in, but you will also have to understand under what context it was being written. You have to understand the context. You have to understand the custom of that time. You have to understand the situation that the person was in order for you to gain the fullness of the word. Sometimes you must do a little bit more than just topical reading. Sometimes you got to take more than just the Bible. Sometimes you may have to go find a book of Jasher. Sometimes you might have to go get the book of Enoch. And it's so amazing to me when I hear people argue about Enoch. When people look at, okay, well, who was Methuselah? You accept the story of Methuselah, you accept Noah, but it's hard for people to accept the rest of the lineage of that whole family. You would not have some of them folks without some of them folks. So I just think that it's it's a real easy way to escape being challenged to learn more when we just say, oh, I'm only going to deal with the 66 books that they allowed to stay in. And who is they?
Yes, allowed
You see what I'm
to
saying?
stay in.
That
We're
they're allowed
told
in.
as growing up evangelical, Pentecostal, we were not allowed to read those books
Mhm.
and very controlled
Mhm.
on the whole narrative.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's been just in the past maybe 2 years that I've been introduced to some of the issues that we never covered in religion, church.
Hmm. Mhm.
It's been quite a wake up.
Hmm. You know, it's sad when we allow the constraints and the religiosity of men to lead us. And it's so sad that there have been so many things done to good people. This is another piece of that, to good people by people who have proclaimed to be godly. Because see, where we are right now today, we are in a place now where there are a lot of people who don't want anything to do with God, because in some of those settings, especially in some of the holiness settings, the holy roller type settings, the very Pentecostal type settings, in as much as holiness was something that was taught, there was a lot of hypocrisy that went on behind closed doors that a lot of people didn't know anything about. And then when it comes out later, then you understand why this person walked that way or act that way or lived this way. Then you get that understanding, because then you find out what was going on behind closed doors. And
Yeah.
that's the reason why I believe that it is so important for us to have a personal relationship. I don't need a person to go in to the Father. I don't need anybody but the one that he sent. Okay, that's it. But I don't need a person on this planet. I don't need to go and tell somebody, what I've done wrong. And, unless, of course, I am confiding in that one person, that God does put people in our lives, that we have people around us all the time that can help to keep us accountable. He really does give us that. And I thank him for that, because I have friends who kick me in the keister all the time. What in the world are you saying? What in the world are you doing? And they kick me in the keister. But as far as who died for me, and as far as where I am now today, I'm only where I am in my mind and in my life because of the goodness that God saw fit to shine up on me. But there are so many people who were hurt in the church. There are so many people who get turned off by even talking about the word. And this time right here, right now, is when we truly do need to figure out a way to minister to those people in love and just let them know, hey, man, you know what? I get it. I was tossed off too, but I just want, I just get to the boat.
It's so hard to have the unsaved telling the supposed saved how they should be. And it's almost always based on misinterpreted scriptures that they themselves have heard from Christians.
Well, I hope you guys know that I've already said this before. I do not subscribe to the whole mindset of anything attached to Rome anymore. And
No.
I don't call, please don't misunderstand me. For those of you who I love and who love me, please hear what I'm saying. I do not assign myself or align myself with Rome in any way. I try my best to free myself of that, because I don't want anything to do with the paganism. I don't want anything to do with the baby aborting and all the stuff that's been allowed. And they have used the church, the Christians, to allow these terrible things to happen here on this planet. They have.
And that's another thing that's hard. What do you call yourself without someone thinking something that you aren't? Because everything has been polluted.
So when you, for example, when I have to gently tell people, listen, I believe in the great I am. I believe in the God who said, "Light be," and there was. I believe in the one who I believe in the Creator who created all of us. I believe in all. I know the Bible. I know the word. My only piece is I will not subscribe to a theory that ties me to a building or a person's
Yes.
philosophy or their way of life. I refuse to do that. That I will not do, because when I get caught up in the weeds trying to do that, there goes my very soul, because I'm now trying to keep up with keeping this system happy over here and trying
Yeah.
to keep these people happy over here. And I don't want to do any of that. I don't want anybody
Exactly.
worshiping me, and I don't want to worship nobody. I just want to worship the one true and living God. That's it. That's the reason why this year I personally did not vote. That's why, because my awakening was I am not a part of this system. And since I'm not a part of this system, I can pray and I can do what I need to do from the outside, trusting God. I can do that and have a better result than me getting in the middle of it and me having all this angst and me getting upset and me being mad. I ain't got time for none of that.
Yep.
We some of us are about to clear up out of here.
Yep, I took a stand of actually with religion and politics this year of I do not consent to anybody's religion. I do not consent to anybody's politics.
Mhm.
And I will think for myself, and I will not choose the lesser of two evils.
Hmm.
There isn't.
And how crazy is that when people say, I'm going to choose the lesser two evils? I always say, why choose evil at all? If you got to choose the lesser two evils, but we'll leave them there. if you got to choose one of the lesser of the two, leave them both there. I'll leave it all there. But I
Yeah.
do know that I can pray. And I do know that it works. And I know a lot of people just get upset, and I get it. But listen, y'all. How many times in your lifetime have you worried about a situation till it almost made you sick? Has anybody ever been in a situation where you have worried about a thing, whether it was something as benign as a test results? Oh, did I get an A on the test? To a benign test results from the medical professionals. How many times have you ever worried about something for so much that it almost made you sick on any level? If you can think about that. Think about that for a second. And then try to tell me, why would you want to attach yourself to something that's going to make you feel sick? Do you know how many people have darn near lost their mind over the past couple of weeks, ain't picked up the phone to call nobody, despondent because the cat that they trusted and wanted to win did not in their mind? You see what I'm saying? These are really, truly, honestly things that, and how many of us who didn't have nothing to do with it this time feel sort of free. I mean, we can keep up with it. We can talk about it with the best of them, right? But for the most part, I thought I was not going to feel too good about not voting. But I ain't got no problem. I don't feel too bad. I got talked about. I got told off. Well, you better help because you got to help. No, I'm sorry.
I'm glad I took vote.
Mm-mm. No. Because if I can find that you are not doing X, Y, Z, and you got this, and this going on, I ain't got to kick it with you. I ain't got to lie to kick it. I'm sorry. I just don't. You know I'm coming at you. Know I'm coming for you, don't you? Black Spring, what you got to say?
Well, yes, I can say that it's, yeah, I like what you just said. You don't have to lie to
You ain't got to lie to kick
to
it.
be around people. But I think some people need that. They need to be a part of whatever, whatever's going on. And but that's not me. And I'm glad that I've never been that far from that. That I could be done at any time at the drop of a hat. I'm not attached to anything, but there, even right now, I don't trust what I see when it comes to what's going on with the Washingtonites, if you will. I still don't trust that, and I'm not quite sure that that there is a resolve, that there will be a resolve in this. I think this is the beginning of this is the end, but it's some other beginnings end is what, it's interchangeable. It's just the beginning of another era. It's not really, we didn't close a door. I don't think either way. And but going forward, I will be, I've changed my convictions, and I think my actions, the appropriate actions will follow. I think spiritually, I need, I can shore up my spirituality, and I would be even more prepared and even more comfortable the next time, I'm not sure what will be going on, but I've had enough of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did too. I was like, that's it. R. Jones says, yes, the Bible says be anxious for nothing, but sometimes I slip up. There was a song that I used to minister a long time ago, and it was be careful for nothing, but in everything, make your request known to God, and by prayer and supplication, let all of your requests be made known unto God. And, don't be anxious. And that's the reason why I had to leave the whole religion thing alone. Because when I looked at it, I said, you have the Catholics that are better than the Christian, and then it's all Christendom, but it's all Catholicism. Because if you follow all religion back, it leads you to Rome.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at it. Even anybody who does anything, they got the box for Islam. They got the box for Islam. They got the beads for Islam. They have the beads in Catholicism. They have the little thingy on the head. In
Your little dot.
Jews, the Jews have the yarmulke, but so do the Catholic Pope got the yarmulke.
Yeah.
So
They're all tied together. I started looking at the symbolism.
Come on now. So once I started looking at all that, I'm like, yo, wait a minute. Yo, homeboy has a yarmulke, but he can't. He's not a, wait a minute, that's the Pope. Wait a minute, how come he got a yarmulke? And wait a minute, how come they got beads? And they got beads too. Wait a minute. They said we're not supposed to like them, but they do just what they do. And look what they do. I said, okay, see, something's telling me this probably isn't the party that I need to be in. This party is probably a party for the other people down the street, and I don't think they want me here. So I turned around and rolled out. I said, that's good. Y'all go ahead on. Keep it all. I'm good.
I started looking at the symbolism, and it was all from one religion to the next. It was just a little bit different, but the same. Mm-hmm. And I started looking at the Pope's, whatever that thing is he wears on his head. I started looking at some of the stuff going into the evangelical, system, Kabbalah, symbolism from Kabbalah showing up, New Age stuff coming in. And I was like, yoga, really? Hindu gods? The yoga.
Wait a minute.
I do have a question. For either of you. Now, I'm not sure if this is it's a color. The thing that I haven't quite understood, why is it that you see, when you've seen, I don't know, depictions of the Pope wearing red? Mm-hmm. Mm. And and I don't mean to go Hollywood. I really don't mean to take you into that industry, but why is it that Bram Stoker's Dracula, I mean, he was easily transformed into his costume? It's very, how could he go from that kind of a robe? It was a robe. I mean, I've been to the Vatican on Wednesday when the Pope blesses the people, and I'm just wondering, where does the red, when does he wear the red? Does he actually wear red? And I'm saying, I don't mean to I'm not sure what it's. Is it really associated with more of an is it Eastern European kind of association, the red robe or the Dakul, the family? Like, what is this lineage? What's the association with the red?
Okay.
I'm sorry to I'm
Here because I'm telling you right now, this
not
is
Hollywood. Maybe it's not Hollywood. at all.
No. Let me tell you something. Everything in Hollywood, in my impression, has something to do with what we're dealing with right now, because I believe that they use Hollywood to sort of let you in on their secrets. That's what I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like your question is valid. And oftentimes when we feel like there's a question about something like a movie or something that we see and it keeps making our head hurt, we're trying to figure it out, it's because God will sometimes nudge us with something that we've seen. He will nudge us. And then when you begin to pull that little string, when you begin to pull it, is when you find out exactly what's going on. What happened?
I read a comment here. It says it mentions red is Timothy Ryan's comment down there.
Okay. Red.
I mean,
is the whore of Babylon. He's absolutely correct. Listen, there are colors. Red is the whore of Babylon. Now, wait a minute. Let me tell you guys something. I think that, and I'm gonna get off the topic, but on the topic still. I think a lot of times when we start to delve into this direction, that we are not really ready for the fullness. And let me tell you what I mean by that. The reason why believers get beat up in the natural is because they do not understand their opponent. If you have ever watched any movies dealing with war, you will see, as I have said on this channel before, that understanding the opponent, understanding the landmass that you're on, understanding all of those things all go into even the seasons when you are watching or dealing in war. Even that has something to do with the outcome if it's planned correctly. The problem with the body of believers is, for whatever reason, they get stuck on La La Land. You know, you hear me talk about prayer all the time. You hear me talk about it, but see, what you don't know is that when necessary, I can get down. That's what you don't know. You hear me talk about prayer, you hear me talk about but when it comes time to lock arms and to kick the kingdom of hell in with warfare, spiritual warfare, you better know what you're dealing with. That is the reason why I believe that we are all so amazed. Yeah. We are amazed that they would put body parts in food. Why? Because the body of believers haven't been bold enough and haven't stopped them. Why are they having 9-month laying on the table abortions? Because the body of believers have not been bold enough and have not stopped them. Why are they putting kidney fetal cells and crossing it with a rat or a mouse and putting it inside of a vaccine and trying to shove it? Because the body of believers ain't been on point. The body of believers have not been on point. And if it's anybody's fault, it's the body.
The body.
Because we have not been where we supposed to be. We are not the watchman on the wall no more. Everything is milquetoast with us. Everything is acceptable with us. We don't stand for anything. We don't have a standard anymore. We don't believe. We don't defend his word because we're too busy trying to get along, and we're too busy trying to raise money for Pastor Nim's aid. You got the pastor board, you got the roof, you got the ceiling, you got to pay for the ceiling, and then you got the pastor's aid, and then you got the mother's board, and then you got the this person board, and then y'all frying chicken to sell this, and then y'all doing this in the back to go do that, and then y'all selling all the baked goods to go send the people over here to go do this or that. But ain't nobody talking about the word, ain't nobody going out seeking to save that which is lost. And that's the reason why right now it's going to be a hot mess because there are people out there who their souls are literally on the line. These people have just told you that they're fighting for the souls of America, and you got believers who ain't on our gig. We're not on our gig.
And pastors don't want to listen to the warnings when they do get them.
And not pastors aren't going to be on their gig because they got a 501c3 that they got to protect.
Yeah.
They're so wrapped up into this thing. You got people in churches right now that's going to be signing people up, that's going to be turning folks in just in order to get them that immunization.
They've already
started. They've already got a certain number. I saw an article about it. They've already got a certain number of people who have infiltrated the churches to do exactly that.
Yeah.
Well, they wrote the bill for the HR 6666 to mean to entice. So what other way would you entice
Red flag.
the less fortunate, other than with money, to the churches, the schools? They're gonna do it. I mean, when they call it the contact tracing and all of this tracing and tracking and tracing, they're going to use these facilities, but I'm sure they're going to do whatever else the government says.
And the nanotechnology that's in some of these, well, there are some who believe there's nanotechnology in it that is going to be a platform for transhumanism.
I agree. And I really do. I agree.
We're in trouble. If we don't know these things and we're not looking, we can't warn other people.
And that's what I was saying about the lost. I feel so, hey, let me tell you something. If our job was to seek and save that which is lost and to lead them to the Messiah, to lead them to Yeshua, to lead them to, teach them the way, then we're in trouble. If this is the lot that has to do the work here, those souls that they talking about, they after the souls of America and this world, they in trouble. We in trouble. We're going to have a lot of, hey, I'm going to be real with you. We're going to have a lot of blood on our hands because the Bible does declare and tells us that if we don't do what we need to do, their blood will be required at our hands. So either we are going to be ashamed of the gospel or either we're going to proclaim the gospel. I didn't say it. I didn't write it. If you get mad, don't get mad at me. I submit you got a problem with the Most High God. Hey, deal with it. But the deal is we need to get up off of our rumps and we need to start to tell people the truth. We need to let them know what's going on. When you hear people come around, you're talking about, I'll be so glad when they come up with this so we can take this off. Dude, that ain't going nowhere. And if you put that in your body, you're going to set yourself up to have your DNA altered. I don't think you understand the fullness thereof. So let me go ahead and give it to you.
And they're not just working on an mRNA vaccine. There's also a recombinant DNA vaccine. mRNA tells DNA what to do. It takes the DNA and it how was it put to me? Messenger RNA tells the DNA what to do. So what happens if they give us one, and they're coming in double doses? They give us one, mRNA and one recombinant DNA. One tells the other one what to do. It's gene modification.
Thank you. And when you change and modify a gene, or when you change and modify anything, what happens to the original host?
You are no longer you.
Thank you. Bingo.
And I don't know if it's the absolute truth about the VMAT gene. I don't know. But let's say there is a VMAT gene. Let's say they can get in the way of what makes us human. And we no longer, have that desire, that spiritual desire. Can they get in the way of the transmission between us and God
Hmm. Yes, you remember the study? I know that you and your husband had to look into that study. There was a study that they had done to try to figure out how to prevent somebody from um, worshiping anymore. It was they were attacking the God gene because there is a
Yeah.
gene in you that, and this was like total military. This was like a total military thing.
Oh yeah, it's called the
Military's
VMAT
behind
gene.
it.
Yeah, you see, it's like they were just like, okay, well, we're going to go on ahead and figure out how to do this, and we're going to tell you guys that this is what we've done, and yeah, we're going to go ahead and make sure that you don't. And I think they claimed that they were trying to use it in Islamic areas, but that ain't the truth. Then listen,
Mm-mm.
any one
I
of
watched that.
any one of the folks that anybody who is a Abrahamic individual, they have tampered with all Abrahamic people. Everybody who believes in Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they have tampered with. Now, I don't care what you feel about anybody. You guys all know I'm very transparent. I have studied with the best of them out there. I have studied with even Jehovah's Witnesses. I've sat down and listened. Yeah, I want to hear what you got to say. I have studied with Muslims. Yeah, I want to hear what you got to say. Yeah, I want to understand it all. Why? Because I will not have my mind all closed up and think that I got it right when I don't got it right. But now that I've sat with you and I've sat with you, I've got it right. Because there's nobody like him. Period. I'm not believing in a person. I'm not following no people. I'm not doing any of that. Just him. That's all. That's all. And the son he
I
sent.
always say, follow the
And
Bible.
what's crazy about all this is we've been set up through television for everyone to believe that when we say what's really going on,
Mm-hmm.
they think of the movies and they think of science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen on the government websites
Yes.
everything I'm talking about.
Yes. And that is how both Black Spring and I do our research. We go to the horse's mouth. We don't just, we don't just believe it. Even if we get a link somewhere, we'll glance at the link. We'll glance, but you can believe that we're going to the horse. Okay, if it's something
You also have the video games too, like the Black Ops.
oh
Yeah,
man.
these video games. And I've seen the
And
patents
this
for
is what
everything
is
that we're talking
controlling
about.
The kids.
Very good. So
All the patents.
so it's like if we're going to give up information, you can believe. Well, first of all, I don't know about you, Black Spring, but some of my student loans ain't paid off yet. I've been paying them off.
Wants
Mine
to-
are too.
I got like 2 or 3 more that I'm still working on. But my point is, I would hope after having some form of education that you got enough sense that, to do some research. My point is, we're not just taking this stuff at face value and running with a rumor. Because we are people who believe in rightly dividing all things, all truth. That is what Black Spring does. That's what I do. That's what Demita does. That's what Kim does. So all 4 of the women that you see that come on this channel, you can believe that we ain't playing when it comes to passing information. And it's so amazing to me that if you've ever studied, or if you ever think of something, or if you can study, and if you can give up good information, and you have a very strong footing and a conservative mindset, people want to call you all kinds of things. But let me just put it to you like this. You go ahead and do what you want to do. We love you. We're going to pray for you anyway. But because we are conservative people does not mean that we're trying to be anything other than who we are. We are conservative because the God we serve is a conservative God, because the God we serve created man and woman, created he, them. That is the reason why we are conservative. We are conservative because when he told us to go out and multiply, he also told us to take care of everything that he put at our disposal. He told us to take care of it. That's why we are conservative. We're conservative because we don't believe in laying up on a table to have an abortion at 9 months. If that's what you do, I love you. I will pray with you. I will hold your hand. I will do anything you need me to do to get you along the way. I will also tell you what the truth is, but we don't get down like that. It doesn't mean that you are a terrible, terrible person, but the sin that you in will take you up out of here. So let us show you a better way. That's where we're coming from. We don't believe in those things. And those are the things that make us conservative. It's not about following one cat or over another cat. You know, I'm not following none of these people, none of them. But the God I serve, you see what I'm saying? The God I serve is a conservative God. He is not Republican. He is not Democrat. He is not Greenpeace. He is not none of that. He is.
He's very conservative.
He is. You know what I'm saying? He is. He is.
I'm
He
just
is
out
not
here trying to
what I
warn
am.
people when I come across something. Sometimes I'm even like way off topic, and I'll just like put it out there and let people know, hey, listen, this is what I found, this is what I've seen. I checked up on it.
You're spares.
You know, just trying to warn people of what's to come, because we need, not only do we need godly knowledge, but we also need to know our enemy too.
That's my point from earlier today, is that yes, we do need to understand what it is that we're dealing with, because when you do not understand what you're dealing with, you will fall for anything. And this is the reason why we're in the mess that we're in right now, because nobody has stood for godliness. Nobody. I mean, I have friends that are all kinds of walks of life. I love them all, but I still gotta tell them where they're wrong. If they claim to know God and they're living a life that's contrary, and I do mean a foul life that's contrary, I need to tell them, look, I love you, but you know you need to get this together, right? Because I would expect somebody to do the same thing to me, lest they bust hell wide open, lest I bust hell wide open. So yes, the God that we serve is conservative, but he is not of a specific party. And when people try to put him in that box, you are now turning him into a belief system that's tied to this world, and that's not who he is. Okay, I thank you so much, Miss Rachel, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, ladies. I enjoy talking with both of you.
We are so glad
Thank
that
you so much.
Thank you. And when you see that link again, girl, make sure you snatch it. This time, I want to see hubby on the screen. Next time, when you come, we need to hear his input too. Y'all take care. Thank you.
You'll hear me
you.
in the background.
Good night. Good night, y'all.
Good night, guys.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Night, night. He said, "You gonna hear me in the background." That is so sweet. But that's what I meant. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is that, hey, you know, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, well, they're trying to be this or they're trying to be that." Oh, Candace, someone's Candace. Well, no, look here. No.
That is the same charge that they detest, but they put it on other people.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my biggest. Like, is that the best you can do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I'm just trying. All I can be is me, and that's all I'm trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
Anything
That's all
else,
I can
you know,
be.
I
can
just,
be me. That's it. I do not equate myself with anybody else. First of all, she has need of a teacher. I said that. Okay. She has need of a teacher.
well,
We're not her.
the thing is that I think one of the biggest things that I learned from this cycle was
Hold on
that
just a second. C-Mac, I love you. Thank you for being here. Night, night, princess. Okay, go ahead.
Good
Oh,
night.
and then we got Mr. There's a gentleman who said Rod. He said that he has something that he wants to share with us. So Rod, I want you to pick up the link so that when we close out, you can come into the back and you can talk to Black Spring, even though we'll be off. If you grab that link and come in before we disconnect, then you can come in and talk to us and share with us what you wanted to share in private. Okay, now go, because we're only going to be here 10 more minutes. I didn't want to forget. I'm sorry. Go.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing that I learned that everyone had, I think that everyone had a role in this actual cycle. I don't think that this was just happenstance that you had what, maybe a growth in maybe in different demographics. I think that many of those people came along and they hung around because they had a very specific purpose. And I also noticed how they kind of fade out. To me, they're like any other movement. they kind of come in waves. I think you've seen, I even, in many ways, I kind of look at some of these people as activists. Maybe they don't want to be known as activists, but I think, you're operating very similarly. You had a role, you played your role, things have calmed down. Now you're out of the picture. Will you come back? I don't know. But I think everyone has had a role, whether they were pundits, whether they were commentators, whether a Candace Owens, a movement here, a conservative movement there, a posterity movement there. I think everybody had a role, and I think I learned that. And yeah, so and it's starting to come out. I think that's starting to manifest in the results and the analysis of this whole greatest show on earth that we've been witnessing. It's all been revealed, and I'm pretty sure even more will come out.
I have to agree with you. This is not an endorsement for Junior Mints, but I have to agree with you. You guys, we thank
Nice.
you guys. I know, right? Nice segue.
Look at
Nice
that.
way to say goodnight. I got
Junior
some Junior Mints. You guys, we want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. We want to thank our super mods for helping us out. Old Head Deuce, I thank you so much for being here. C-Mac is another one of our mods. I thank you so much. Derek got out of here a minute ago. We appreciate you. Mr. Rod Moyes, I hope that you will click that link, because once we click off, I would love to hear what it is you have to say. Anybody else who wants to stay behind in the green room after any of our shows in the future, you can do the same thing. If we keep it open, we'll announce it. But for Mr. Moy tonight, excuse me, Mr. Rod, we do want to hear what you have to say. So what link do you grab? This one right here, sir. It's coming up right at you right now. You mentioned that you wanted to chat with us, and there you are. Just grab that link and come on in. For everybody else, we want to thank you we want to thank you guys so very much for being with us, for joining us tonight. We are going to try to do something very special, and that is something that Black Spring came up with. And so as soon as we solidify it and get it all together, we're going to ask everybody if they want to come and join us. We're going to have a movie night, and we'll tell you how we're going to do that. But I think you guys are really going to be happy. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you for being very nice and gracious to our guests that we had this evening. I do have another special guest coming up in a couple of weeks, and I think you guys are really going to be happy. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And I also want to remind you guys of one important thing, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Thank you guys for being here. Mr. Rod, did you grab the link? I don't want you to miss it. I'm going to wait to see him before we let go, because we got to see him inside the house, right? Doesn't he have to be in here first before we let him go, before we let go? I think so. Don't we? I think so.
I think he has to. I think he has to take it. He has to take it before it's closed.
Yeah, he's got to slide in the home. And you can do it on your cell phone, you guys. You don't have to have a computer. You can join us on your cell phone. Click the link on your cell phone and come on in. You're in an iPhone? I don't know. I'm not an iPhoner. My daughter's an iPhoner.
He should still be able to. I think he should be able to click on it, and yeah, it should work. I haven't done a whole lot on iPhone with the StreamYard.
I'm not good at iPhones. They confuse me. You're high tech, Rod. But if you're on the phone, all you need to do is take the link. Timothy said that it does work. So you'll take the link right there, and as soon as you click it, it should go directly into your browser. And at that point, it'll bring you right back here. You'll come right into the backstage, and then you just follow it. It's a pretty gentle platform. It's not one of those very difficult things. It's like once you come in here, all you got to do is join the stream, and it'll tell you to do that. And I'm going to close out with this wonderful thing here. Let's see. Many times I've worried like that. Yes. Like what? Amen. I'm not going to choose the lesser of the two evils either. Yes, it's still evil. You're choosing. Absolutely right. Love in the midst. Well, you guys, we thank you so very much. You guys have a great weekend. Have a good tomorrow. Have a good week coming up. You all take care, and we look to speak to you guys soon. All right. Bye-bye now.